Hi guys, I'm Koali Marley and welcome to my video today. This video is the first part of a series on how to make a Ryuk mask out of latex that looks a little bit like this. The process is a little bit complicated, but even a beginner can do it if you just follow the steps. The video will be split into 3 parts, which are the 3 different techniques that I use to make this mask. These techniques are live plaster casting, making a 2-piece plaster mould, and how to make a latex cast and painting it. This video will be how to make a cement bust for you to sculpt on top of. It's really useful having a live cast of your actual head so you know where your eyes are, your mouth, so you can position the mask appropriately. This way you know you're going to be able to see out of it and breathe out of it. Because if you use one of those styrofoam heads that they have at the craft stores, those proportions I think are just way off and not going to help anybody. I definitely think it's worth it to do this step.
Okay, so let's get started. For this step, the things you will need are plaster bandages. I used about 5 meter rolls, cling wrap, lots of Vaseline, water, a helper, and cement. I used about 10 kilos. First, start with preparing your model who you're going to live cast. This means covering all their hair in cling wrap and all their facial hair with Vaseline, unless you want to lose your eyebrows. Step 2 is to cut up all the plaster bandages into smaller workable strips. I found about 5 centimeters to 10 centimeters strips worked really well. Now for plaster bandages, all you have to do is dunk them in a bucket of water, take off some of the excess, and lay them over your subject. Step 3 is keep on layering the strips until they are about 2 to 3 bandages thick. If the mold isn't thick enough, it'll warp when you add the cement or plaster into it. While you're layering bandages onto your subject, make sure you make a border of strips along the seam. A good place for the seam is along the shoulder line and around the top of the head. You can attach these borders together with 1 or 2 plaster bandages, just to stop them sliding away from each other while you're creating the rest of the mold. Only attach the borders together with a few plaster bandages, so it's easier to cut your model out when it's dry. Then, once the plaster mold has hardened, which should be in about 30 minutes after getting the strips wet, you'll be able to remove the model from the mold. To get them out, get your model to start scrunching up their face and their muscles to loosen the plaster from the skin. Plaster doesn't adhere to skin very well, so it should be easy to pry the mold off your model. Also, something really big to keep in mind while doing plaster live casting is to make sure you leave at least breathing holes for your model, so around the nose or the mouth, something that can be easily patched up with plaster bandages later. You might also want to leave holes for their eyes so they can see. After the mold is dried and removed from your model, you'll be able to stick it back together again. You can do this by duct taping the 2 pieces together and then reapplying plaster bandages around your seam. Also, make sure to fill in any eye holes or breathing holes that you left in the cast. Once your mold is complete, you'll be able to now fill it with cement or plaster, whichever you choose. I chose cement because it's less expensive than plaster and I didn't need that much detail in my cast. Prepare the cement or plaster according to the instructions and begin to fill your mold. Make sure you mix it really well and use some sort of stick or something to get rid of any air bubbles that might come up inside your cast, or you'll be left with empty, patchy places in your final product. After the cement has dried, all you have to do is just peel off the plaster bandages and you'll have a complete bust of yourself for you to sculpt on top of. Sadly, I don't have a picture of the bust by itself, but I have this one with me starting to sculpt on top of it, just to show you a bit of how the cement looks when it's cured. But yeah, that's how you can create a beautiful cement bust of yourself. Very useful for lots of different types of cosplay creating, or just admiring your own beauty if you're into that.
In the next tutorial, I'm going to show you a bit of how I sculpted the Ryuk mask and how to create the 2-piece plaster mold. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe. See you guys next time.